Yes, everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to Late Night Live. We're gonna get weird. We always get weird on a Late Night Live. Welcome to all the new members. I've made the chat members only, but I'll probably turn that off in a little bit, just anticipating a lot of City fans that are all crying. If my Twitter's anything to go off. So if you're not a member, become a member and get involved in the chat now. Or if you're not a member but you'd like to get involved in the comments, about 10-15 minutes or so, and I'll move the chat on to everyone can get involved, if that's all right with everyone. I've got a lot of questions off Instagram, so I'm going to get stuck into those in a minute. But I just wanted to kick it off talking about Cunha. I think he's everything that we've kind of wanted in terms of someone that can play that number 10 role. It's a little bit hybrid in terms of a playmaker and someone that can carry the ball. He scores, he creates. He's got a great attitude. He's got a great work ethic. I think he's got a high level of skill. He's got a good mentality. I just like everything about him. It probably would have been better for us if Wolves looked like they were going down, although I think that 3 points today means that they probably aren't. They're still in danger, aren't they? But they're probably not looking like they're going to go down. I wouldn't have thought. I think they're probably going to be all right, I would expect now. If they was going down, there's a real bargain to be picking up there. But, you know, I think there's a lot of players that are in the bottom half of the table. Well, our entire squad's currently in the bottom half of the table. But there's a lot of players in the bottom half of the table that you can go and get a bargain out of. You can go and bring them to Old Trafford and make Manchester United better. A super chat here from Benia says, Newcastle are a problem on the 30th. Tonali, Bruno, Isaac, all handful. Yeah, I mean, you look at their squad, they've got more attacking talent for sure. I think defensively, I think our defence is better. Maybe not as a team at the moment, but I think you look at their attacking talent at the moment, Isaac especially, Bruno Gamache, hell of a footballer, doing good things with the ball, very admirable player. Like I said in the title, if you give me the opportunity, I would swap Cunha for Fernandes right now. I would. And I don't know if everyone would agree with that, and that's fine. If you don't, you don't. But I would at the moment. I absolutely would. I think Bruno's been a fantastic player for us. Probably a little bit disrespected, actually, in terms of what he's offered the club since he arrived. These numbers are Cantona level numbers, and you know, I couldn't have anyone in higher esteem than Cantona as a Manchester United player. So I think we have to recognise what Bruno has delivered in a way that I would liken to Ruud van Nistelrooy. Ruud van Nistelrooy was a complete forward, a striker. But what United needed at the time, as Sir Alex was trying to change us from 4-4-2 to the 4-5-1, 4-3-3 that we became, you know, he had Giggs and Beckham as wingers, and he had to change that. Giggs became a central midfielder, and Beckham was moved on, and ultimately Ruud was moved on as well, because we was going with a very fluid forward three. You know, if for those old enough to remember, when we transitioned from the 4-4-2, we did get stuck in a bit more 4-5-1 instead of the 4-3-3. And there was teething problems in trying to figure that out, can we just play a regular 4-4-2, but maybe put Scholes off the striker? You know, there was all sorts of teething problems with it, and hence why we didn't win the league at that time. When you look at what it eventually evolved to, when you had a forward line of, you know, probably the best forward line was the Ronaldo, Tevez, Rooney, but you also had supporting acts in Saha, Nani, Park, that all filled slightly different roles. But what they all had was fluidity. All of those players could have played in any of those positions and picked them up. That's not to say Ruud van Nistelrooy was the wrong player. Or sorry, not to say that he was a bad player, because he clearly was not a bad player. And I don't think that Bruno Fernandes is necessarily a bad player either. What I would probably say is maybe there's, in a similar way to Rashford, Rashford's not a bad player, and I don't think he's been a bad player. You know, his numbers are almost identical to Eden Hazard's. People will tell you Eden Hazard's a Premier League great. And Rashford's had more inconsistent seasons than he's had consistent seasons. You know, numbers-wise, him and Bruno, very respectable numbers, but I think when you look at what they offer as players at the moment, I can make a case that United need something different for both of them, actually. Coach Zach with a super chat. Cheers. Our kid says you can get Son, Dybala, David, Angel Gomez, all as 10s on a free in 2025. Also, Davies as left wing back. I think Ahmad is the best right wing back. He touches the ball more there, but Bruno doesn't fit this system. No, in my preview for this Wolves game, I did move. Obviously, it didn't happen in the game, but I felt my reasoning was there for why I would move Ahmad to that right wing back spot. And actually, if you look, he's not, again, players can play well and players can perform, because I do believe Bruno and Rashford have not recently for Rashford obviously, but like I believe that they've performed well, and Ruud van Nistelrooy was the same. He would score goals, but the team wasn't necessarily as good as when it became the fluid system that, when we won the double in 2008. And I think there is a little bit of an element of that sort of. Ahmad plays well in the 10 role, and I would like to see more of that if we can get a genuine good attacking option on the right-hand side of him. But I think for the team at the moment, if we're playing 5 defenders, and we shouldn't be playing 5 defenders when we go to Molineux, if we're playing 5 defenders, it's not maximising our attacking output. Whereas if you put Ahmad as one of the defenders by putting him in that right wing-back spot, then I think you actually get a better tune out of the team. And like you said, he gets on the ball a little bit more there. I agree with that. I think, the team is better when he's down as a defender, if that makes sense. And there's a couple of other players that I find really intelligent footballers. Mazraoui, I have no idea whereabouts he fits in the team. I just want him in the team no matter what. I need him in the team because he's an intelligent footballer. And you can't have enough intelligent footballers that win their duels, in my opinion. Dorno has just joined as a member. Welcome. Talon says, became a United fan in 2011 when I was a child. So far, only ended up witnessing the 2012-13 title. It's getting really difficult for me. Football is about disappointment, right? And how your disappointments are framed is framed by your experiences as a fan. There's Manchester City fans growing up right now booing that team. But I know blokes in their 50s and 60s who never saw City win a fucking throw-in, right? And would never dream of doing that. It's all shaped by the perspective that you've grown up with. I was fortunate enough that my first game was in 1990. It was after the FA Cup win. So the first thing I won, and there's a reason why I hold the Cup Winners' Cup win in 1991 in such high esteem. It's because it was the first trophy I saw us win. Following that, we won the League Cup, then we won the league, and then we went on that unbelievable run without any charges throughout the 90s. So I was very, very fortunate that my formative years of watching Manchester United, we were the best team in the land. My dad went from being 7 and not seeing us win a title, picking up a handful of FA Cups, all the way until he was in his 30s and he had a child of his own. My childhood was the total opposite. It was just unparalleled success until I was 30. And then it's been like, the last 10 years I've not seen us win a title, even though I've seen us win trophies. But my son's almost identical to my dad. My son saw us win our last title. He would have been 7. Very similar to my dad. He's now 18. We've not won a title since. There's perspectives that him and my son might share, my dad and my son might share, that I wouldn't have. By the time I was 18, we were, that we'd just come off a treble and 3 titles on the bounce. My perspective as a fan are going to be different to theirs, and that's just life, isn't it? You can't pick what's going to happen to your football team. You just go with the flow and see what happens, don't you? But look, if we're shit, mate, we're shit, revel in it. And if we're good, revel in it. But it is what it is. Burnside is back with a super chat, says, just glad we sacked Fergie off as an ambassador. That's worked. Who wants to remember what it's like to be ace? Joke of a club, seriously. While I'm at it, Ollie, how ace is he looking? I said at the time we're going to look back on his reign and remember how good it was. It was genuinely good. For whatever reason, it went tits up when he signed Sancho, Varane and Ronaldo. Couldn't make it work with them. Pulled the trigger. Maybe it was too quick. Happy with the super chat, says Merry Christmas, bro. It's just sad. It is a bit sad. Sahaj with a super chat says, in a system where wing backs are vital to provide assists, we have not seen a single goal so far from a Delo or Malacia across. System demands legs more than Ten Hag system demanded. I was looking at Delo's sort of crossing numbers today, and I think I need to go back, maybe even put a table together and go back and have a look, but his crossing's been pretty poor. He's not really delivering any crosses consistently to create chances at all. Like, I think his crossing is a lot lower percentage than just his regular passes into the box in terms of the chance creation that's coming for it. Rurkov says, well, tough times ahead. No doubt, mate. No doubt. Rurkov says, that's why Ahmad right back will be better. Delo just poor. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, to be honest with you. Awake with a super chat there says, really sad time for us at the Mo. Probably amongst the lowest points I've lived through. No hope except we may still get Manchester derbies in the Championship. Can't fully revel in just how shit City are being, because we're also completely shit in the bed, aren't we? That's frustrating. Can we not just have this at least? Without people are like, well, what's United excuse then? Hey, huh? Fuck off. That's it. That's our excuse. Taylor says, thanks for the perspective. That's what keeps me going. I know the first title Champions League is going to be a different feeling. For sure, right? Yeah, I didn't realise. Because I'd seen us win something like the first season I was going as a match-going fan. And I don't really, I was so young, I don't really remember thinking anything prior to going to the match. But, I can remember my dad, and I didn't know because it was just so cool looking at the time. Those of us of a certain vintage will remember Football Italia on Channel 4. Flags weren't allowed at Old Trafford, or in English football, actually. Sticks weren't allowed in grounds because people used to twat each other with them or fucking try and stab each other with them. So you weren't allowed flagpoles and stuff in the ground. They'd be taken off you. You weren't allowed to take them in. A little bit like now, actually. But that game against Blackburn after we won the title in 1993, everyone had a flag. Everybody had a flag. I had a flag. I had a little white silk one with a Premier League trophy on it. And I think it just said Manchester United and Premier League trophy. Winners or champions or something. But I was in the Stretford and I can remember the entire stadium, and I remember to this day saying to my dad, it looks like Italy. Do you know why? Because that's what Italian football was to my 6-7-year-old mind, was all of these, whatever it was, all of these flags. That's what we used to see, all these tifos and flags, massive big flags, all the colour and everything like that. It was phenomenal. And I remember my dad taking it in, but not understanding what he was doing, because I'm 8 and I'm just looking at these cool flags and I'm like, yeah, he thinks these flags are cool as well, probably, right? It's only when I've got older and I'm thinking, this fucker's gone and watched United all the way through the back end of obviously the 60s, all the way through the 70s where we won fuck all, got relegated, all the way through the 80s, and you can imagine how bad some of it's got in the 80s. And then seeing us get to the top of the mountain the way we did by winning that first Premier League title. I can't put myself in my dad's shoes to understand the emotions he was going through. He's gone from being an 8-year-old to in his 30s. He would have been 33 at the time of us winning that first title. I can't imagine the emotions that man was going through, even if he is my dad. Like, I can't imagine what that first title felt like to him. I can't imagine what it's going to feel like to my son when he sees us winning a first title. I can't imagine what it's going to feel like for myself. Whether it's 15, 16, 17 years. I mean, it's getting close to that 26-year wait, isn't it? I can't imagine what it feels like to see the team win a title again. But do you know what? I'm going to be there when it happens. And I'll be there if we get fucking relegated as well. I'm going to be there. I'm indoctrinated. I'm signed up for this shit. Hopefully we win. But if we don't, I'm still there. I'll just moan more. You know what I mean? George says, what players should we sign in January? Left back, midfielder, similar to Ugati's attitude. Oh, lost that. Where's that gone? Can help, in my opinion. Ineos ticking me off at the moment. Ineos are going to piss a lot of people off, but I think they might have to do that. Awake says, when I met Ollie, he did mention the summer. The higher-ups basically pressured him to change the playing style. I think that's usually a part. Possible. Ryan Isted, welcome to the channel memberships, mate. Danny says, we should look at Ryan Cherky. What do I think? It's not a bad shout. Again, I think you can find so many players up and down the league that would really benefit the team. Hope you had a good Christmas. We went to my sister's yesterday. 16 of us. Big old gaff. And she did a good job. Normally my mum does Christmas dinner. Sorry, I felt that sneeze coming for about 5 minutes. But she did a good job. So, I mean, I can't imagine trying to wrap your head around doing Christmas dinner for 16 people. Hell of a task, that. And I'll probably never do it. So, well done to my sister. She did all right there. Super chat there from Matog says, we talk about Bruno as if he's De Bruyne, Mo Salah, and he never will be. No top team would start him. He's good, but he's not taking us to the top. Why do you think that? Why do you think that the player that creates the most chances in the league isn't on the same sort of level as someone like a Kevin De Bruyne? If he'd have had Sergio Aguero and Erling Haaland instead of whatever he's had in front of him, do you not think he would be creating more chances? And do you not think those would be getting finished just yet? Because I think they would, to be honest with you. Richard says, do I think we've hit rock bottom yet? Honestly, no, I don't think we have. I think there's probably a way for us to go yet, to be honest with you. No, sadly not. Kirk Stevens, welcome to the membership, mate. Ryan says, got back to Manchester from Toronto Sunday morning and went straight to Old Trafford. Wish I'd have stayed in Canada. Fucking hell. That's a long mooch. Never been to Canada. It is on the list. There's some beautiful spots in Canada, isn't there? Ryan says, thanks for all the content. Best on YouTube, bar none. Appreciate you. Rurkov says, what's going to happen with Bruno? He's going to be suspended. Missing him and Agate for the Newcastle game is problematic, I believe. I think you're going to see Rashford back in the squad because there's no fucking way we can go into that without him as well. That's just hamstringing yourself, isn't it? The point has been more than made now, surely. Surely. Kirk now says, another shocking game. I bet Fergie could field 11 not good enough players that would smash our team nowadays. Feels like it, doesn't it? When you see what Fergie won titles with, and I mean, even like some of the games that we had against Arsenal where we were told these Arsenal teams were sensational, and he's playing fucking Park centre mid and the De Silva twins as wingers, and we're just fucking piecing them up. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I know iPlayer has got a documentary out on Fergie that came out today. I'm going to watch that in the gym tomorrow, I think. Neil says, finally, as fans, we've accepted that winning the league again is not inevitable. Fucking hell, it's been a long time since it's not been inevitable. We've had this attitude that it's a matter of when, not if. I still think it's a matter of when, not if. I think it is a matter of when, not if. We're going to do it again. Rukov says, why is Harry Amas not given a chance yet? It's crazy. Yeah, I agree. I think he can absolutely... From what I saw in preseason, I don't think he would let us down to the level I've seen some players let us down. Now, obviously, the manager clearly thinks different because he's not even been on the bench, really, has he? I'd like to see him given an opportunity. I'm sure he's getting an opportunity in training, but I would like to see him given an opportunity in the team because surely he can't be worse. I mean, Malacia's performances have been fucking bad, haven't they? Awake says, nice vibe in here without all the widgets. It is a nicer vibe in here, isn't it, without all the widgets. So, yeah, like I said, I will probably switch it over in a bit, but I'm enjoying it at the moment. And while we've got all the people asking questions and stuff right now, what's the point in switching it off and switching it over? Taylor says, rock bottom, wait till that Liverpool game. I hate how right you are. I mean, what is it? Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle all coming up. Would you get a treble now and United not win a single one of those? The good news is City probably won't win one in that time either. So that's a bonus, isn't it? What changes would I make to today's 11? Probably only the one, really. I mean, in my preview, I did throw Xerxes in to try and play a little bit higher up and moved Ahmad over to the right wing-back spot and dropped a low. So technically, I would have done that. But when you think about what our 11 was, that's our best 11, really. I mean, you can argue De Ligt in over Maguire. But come on, man, it's not a million miles away from what you would expect our best 11 to be. So it's worrying that, I mean, it wasn't just the case that we got beat. You can lose a game and look good, right? But we didn't look good. We didn't create, did we? Did we? Can you honestly say that United were unlucky at any point in that game today? Because I don't think we were unlucky in the slightest in that game today. There was not a prayer we were unlucky. We were just shit. Top and bottom of it, just shit. We were sloppy with the ball. We were poor in our duels. We were poor defensively. We were shite at set plays, as obvious. I mean, I think Onana's just got to be stronger. Can you imagine? Look, I think he was impeded against Spurs, and I think you could make a case he was impeded today, right? Not by a lot, but you could make the case. Like, if you really wanted to, if VAR was actually doing anything for United, they could have made the case he's been impeded and chalked that goal off. They were never going to do that. But you could have made the case. And if it was, you couldn't have complained. But can you imagine Peter Schmeichel not getting those balls? Can you? Because I can't. Peter Schmeichel's getting his hands on those balls all day long. Pause. Yeah? Jed says, everyone over 25 at least one full season needs to be put up for sale. Extreme, but it's the only way. How hyped for Rochdale away next Boxing Day. Oh, fuck me. We're not getting relegated. It's bad, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not. It's really not. It might be our worst ever Premier League finish, though. We might not get into the top half. Where did Chelsea finish last year? Can you remember? Was it 10th? Did they finish 10th in the end? It might be one of them. And then look what happened. They go from that to a title challenge. It could be that quick. It could be. But the problem and the difference is that Chelsea team was always so good as a squad that they just hadn't figured out where the pieces went to make it sink. I mean, actually, that Chelsea team that came to Old Trafford last year was one of the worst, just so toothless, miles off it that I've ever seen. But that squad was always too good to not have someone figure it out. Do you know what I mean? I always felt like that Chelsea team. I think I even said this Chelsea team could finish 18th next year, or it could finish like second or third. Well, it's decided to go with a second or third, hasn't it? Awake with a super chat there says, we need to really have patience this time. Amorim seems mint. Just don't repeat the Ola mistake and sack after the first proper hurdle. Hope it's within 5 years. I think me and Joe spoke about this. I think Ineos are going to have to give him time because he's their first guy, isn't it? He's their guy. He's got to have time. And hopefully they've got enough intelligent people there that they know this is going to take a minute to get sorted out. I hope so, at least, anyway. Kirk there says, Park doesn't get talked about enough. He'd walk into most big teams for his work rate. Do you know what? There's a lot of reduction goes on about Manchester United players. Scholes couldn't tackle and all he had was like this pass on him. Right, well, he had to have a little bit more than that, didn't he, to be the level of player that he was for the length of time that he was. Giggs doesn't get talked about at all, which is mental to me. Right. This sentence is going to get clipped up. Giggs' decision making some of the best I've ever seen on the pitch. Off the pitch, is probably a little bit questionable, I believe, isn't it? Fucking hell. But Ryan Giggs was one of the most fucking intelligent footballers I've ever seen. He just did the right thing at the right time all the time. On the pitch, for sure. David Beckham was just a fucking fashion model. He couldn't play football, obviously. Ji-sung Park was just work rate. Forgetting the fact that Ji-sung Park was a fucking phenomenal footballer with excellent technique. But he knew what to do and when. And that's the football intelligence side of him coming out. Roy Keane, one of the most intelligent footballers that's ever played the game. People don't think about that about Roy Keane. They just see that tackle on Erling Haaland and think, fuck, like he was some sort of Vinnie Jones caricature. Roy Keane was sensational. He just understood football to a level that no one gets. Like he just gets it. And And that's where his standards and stuff came from. He was a coach on the pitch because he knew what needed to be done to get over the line and win games. The fact that, he's got, 7 titles? Like, he's a joke, an absolute joke of a player. And not given anywhere near enough credit as he should do. Richard says if it wasn't for Club 115, Ollie would have won the league. That might still be the manager now. Yeah. Theoretically. I mean, there's a few managers that would have won a league, isn't there? Brendan Rodgers, one of them as well. No comment. Apna says, should Amorim take a more careful approach and secure some relegation avoiding points before resuming on this on-season, pre-season? The problem is, it's those next handful of games we're probably not going to win, are we? So I'm going to say no, because I think we'll be fine. But I haven't really got any evidence to back that up. How are City still above us, by the way? On the form. They've won 1 in fucking whatever. Do you know what I mean? Fucking hell. Kirk says I'd also take Butner left back. Let's not get carried away. Rurkov says my favourite player ever. First jersey was number 11, Giggs on the back. On the pitch role model. On the pitch. On the pitch. Anton with a super chat says we need fresh players in January. People come to United and think they've done it. They don't know the value of the club. Amorim needs support. Totally agree. Stephen has joined the channel. Welcome, our kid. Widge reporting for duty. Ryan says, do I ever go out instead of Vegas anymore? I love the episode when I was talking about meeting Janine there. I don't think anyone goes out instead of Vegas anymore. I don't think there's a scene. I mean, I could be wrong because I'm not going out there and couldn't possibly comment, but it feels like clubbing, going out. Look, I'm older and I'm married and I ain't going out anyway. But it feels like that entire scene has shifted in a big way. I mean, maybe it has, maybe it's not. Maybe it's maybe it's just that I'm not in the loop on it. But I feel like I don't think anyone's going out. It's certainly not. It peaked in it a good 15 years or so ago. Awake's got a super chat there, says what grinds my goat, in the last 10 years, letting Herrera go on a free because we offered him a pay cut following player of the year. Him, Casemiro, Ugarte, Menu make an unreal 2. Never replaced him. There's been a lot of mistakes, hasn't there? I mean, look at, people are going, I didn't think Alanga was good enough as a United player. He's doing really well at Forest. Now, maybe he's just found his level in he can play for Forest and do well at Forest with the expectations that are on you as Forest. How many times are Forest going to come up against a low block? It's not always going to be the same playing for Forest as it would be playing for United, even in the same league. I didn't think he was ever going to be good enough as a first choice regular for United. But, a lot of people would now call letting Alanga go a mistake. Same with Andreas Pereira, but Andreas Pereira was never really that good to nail down a permanent starting spot in the United first team. Just because he's done it now at Fulham doesn't mean that he would be capable of doing it for United. But Herrera might be one of them. He absolutely was good enough to do it. Would he still be good enough right now? I think that'd be up for debate, to be honest with you. But there's been a hell of a lot of mistakes made, for sure, in the last decade. A hell of a lot of mistakes made and a lot of money wasted. Dead Scrolling has joined the membership. Welcome, our kid. Kirk says Butner left back was just a joke, but painful watching United without a left-sided player, even if it's just throwing Amas in there. At least it's a player that can play and also knows the position. Yeah, I'd love to know what the reason behind Amas, even at least a public chance. I don't know for sure, but my guess would be that he's been given some level of opportunity behind the scenes. I could be wrong, though. He might not have done. They might not have given him anything. Which is sad if that's the case, because, we all saw it on pre-season. There's something there with him, isn't there? There's something there. Is it permanent starter? No, but is it, not yet at least, is it fill a gap and not fuck it up? Maybe. Jockey says, season greetings, Steve. United haven't been giving us much cheer this holiday, but thanks for staying committed to putting out the good content. It is my job. You know, sometimes I don't want to do it, but it is my job. I have to do it. So, you know, thanks, I guess, but, you know, it's one of them. Dead Scrolling says, thanks for having me. About time I joined. Well, welcome aboard. Awake says, nah, I get that, but Herrera showed it at United for me. Just the worst decision in my opinion. The problem is by the time PSG had offered him, I think they offered him like $250,000 a week for 5 years. United were never going to offer him that, and he could never have turned that down. But it was the point that United let it get so late. We went through this period of just automatically renewing any fucker's contract. We weren't even thinking about it because it was just like book value of them. Yeah, under Herrera, someone that was actually playing and being useful, we allowed him to go for free because they didn't think about it. Ridiculous decision. Thriller has joined the channel. Welcome, our kid. The Robson channel's got a super chat there. Says, I think the standard in football in general at the top level has gradually gone down, and we've reached this level where everything is pretty average. 1,000,000%. The game now is dominated by athletes. It's dominated by pressing, and we're seeing a little bit more of an increase in the dominance of set plays. Now, football is cyclical. Systems become homogenized. They become the norm. They become taught. They become understood on a very deep level. And then someone has to come in and break the mold and change it. It always happens. You know, 4-4-2 went from being like the default option, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. You know, now you're seeing teams at every single level building up in a 3-2-5. The football is so cyclical. It might be happening a touch quicker that we're getting through these systems faster now because people have got access to them. They've got access to the analysis. They've got access to footage and stuff. So people's learning might be accelerated a little bit. We might burn through systems and shapes and philosophies a little bit faster than we used to do in the past. So eras might only now be like 18 months, 2 years of a system, and then it'll change. But I can't wait for the day that we go back to it being a romanticized version of the game where it isn't as much about the in-depth tactics and the physicality of the players. It's a sad time, and it'd be a sad day when football becomes American footballized, where it's all about your running metrics and it's all about your physical abilities rather than it is about, you know, the things that I really value when I watch United play or when I watch football, which is good decision making, skill, intelligence. Those are the things, you know, and we're not even talking here necessarily about you know, the ability to beat a man, the ability to get a crowd on their feet, the ability to do something a little bit out of the ordinary, the ability to think outside the box. You know, does a JJ Okocha come through an academy? Fuck no. Does a Wayne Rooney even come through an academy, apart from the fact that they're a physical specimen? You know, where some of the most gifted footballers coming from? There's no specialised strikers at the moment. You know, you've heard Roy Keane talking about how Erling Haaland from a technical point of view is a League Two player. I think he's exaggerating a point to make a point there in a little bit of a way. But when you look at his skill set, he's no Robin van Persie, is he? He's finished, like, he's a physical specimen, but he's not. You know, can he caress a ball like can he be a striker like an Henry or a Rude? Or, you know, he's not even Alan Shearer when it comes to the that sort of technical ability. And he's like the best in the world at the moment. There just isn't the depth of that sort of talent. It's been overlooked in terms of physical sort of specimens coming through. And I think that's sad. And I think a lot of that comes down to, I mean, there's a rumour going around that United have started asking some youth team coaches to produce better results. And it's game over if that's the case. There should only be one team at the club, two, women's first team as well. But there should only be one team, the first team, that has got any pressure on it to win matches. Every other team should exist to develop footballers Who gives a fuck? Like, I thought the most sad and cringeworthy thing was when City had on the side of the Etihad, and if you didn't know that they did this, they did this. They had on the side of the Etihad like pictures of their under 10s, their under 12s, their under 13s, their under 14s winning, you know, that age group equivalent Premier Leagues and cups and things like that. That's fucking small time and sad at the end of the day, innit? Maybe show off your 18s because at least they're public facing and they're professional. You know, they're lads either on apprenticeships or on actual professional contracts. Maybe the 21s, but realistically, the first team's the only team that should matter when it comes to results. Every single other team should take that player on a Monday and make him better by Friday. That should be all that they exist to do. And I think because there's an increased pressure on results, fucking age group coaches, which blows my fucking mind, by the way. Because there's this pressure on age group coaches to deliver results, which is mental. Instead of spending time to develop this little Modric looking kid that might be whatever, they're going to develop the Erling Haaland looking kid. Because this little crazy arsehole is built like a 17-year-old at 9, which means he's going to score 5 goals this weekend, which means we win. Cool. You're not developing players. You're winning and feeding your own ego, and that's not what it's about, in my opinion. It should not be about that at all. That's the wrong way to develop kids. And for years, United, I thought, had a real good way of developing kids, which is been proven by the players that United have produced, which is more than anyone else. Even though it's, you know, we can definitely do better, but it's still more than anyone else gets through. And that's frustrating, in my opinion. Stephen Harris says, what did Santa get me? I got a load of aftershaves, got a couple of shirts, little bits like that. I'm old. I didn't get any socks. Didn't get any socks and underwear, which I know a lot of my mates have got. It's crap now you're old, don't it? I'm new with a super chat there. Says, I don't understand how we keep looking like we're a few players short in every game. Opponents look like they've got loads of space and we're always pressed. You and me both, mate. Awake says, renewed Marshall for 250k a week that year. Shit year. Yeah, I mean, Luke Shaw and Martial getting extensions has baffled me, mate. Frill says, me and my friend have been saying someone needs to use 4-4-2 because it would counter what most of the teams currently use, bring back that flair. Teams are using it as a defensive formation because it makes so much sense as a defensive formation, but it's not quite got the angles as a in-possession formation unless you go with a diamond. If you do a diamond, it could work. Diamond free, I think, is a good one to go with. That could really work, I think. Deck Roberts has joined the membership. Welcome, our kid. And so has Apner. Welcome, our kid. Stephen Harris says, Bergkamp, Zola, Cantona, Henry, Okocha, Magicians. Pep killed the Magicians. Even Grealish. Look at what Grealish was doing prior to joining Manchester City. Yeah. There you go. Point proven. Deck says, was watching an hour and 40 of Rooney goals, and the technical ability of players back then is far better than what it is now. Giggs putting it on his right foot without breaking a stride, and now we get Bruno and Delo's second touch as a tackle. See, I can't really argue with that. I agree. I think the technical ability thing, it might look like it's worse. I feel like it's probably not worse. I feel like that players are now getting such technical grounding at the clubs from 6 and 7 and 8 years of age. I think that the technical ability is probably as good as it's ever been, but I don't think the creativity is there. And I think another thing is, I think because the game is now focused so much on speed, so much on pressing, so much on slowing and stopping the opposition, I think that you don't get the sort of time some of those players had. So it doesn't encourage players to be able to take the ball the way some of those players might have done. That's not to say now the players are better, and those players, if they played in today's era, wouldn't look out of place. JJ Okocha would thrive in this game. Absolutely. Roy Keane would thrive in this game and, you know, look like what Rodri looks like, if not better. You know, David Beckham would absolutely thrive in this game. Their roles and their positions might alter, but they were fit, they were athletic, and they were technically gifted, and they understood the game. That translates. Now, I think some players, I can't think who off the top of my head immediately now, but like some players might not have had the athleticism to look as good as they do in today's game. I don't know who that is. But I'm sure there's probably players that exist like that. I just think the way people talk about Mbappe is pretty basic when you think about the abilities of some wingers of days gone by even. He's one of the best players in the world right now. But you're not going to fall in love with players of his ilk in the manner that you would have done with Henry. Now, when you stack up what Mbappe's won next to Henry, I think by now he probably already fucking embarrasses him with the things that he's won, right? But who would you be taking? You'd be taking Henry, wouldn't you? I think. Awake says those kids are probably in their museum as well. Probably shown to new signings. Look at our history, dude. It kind of needs to be done, doesn't it? Otherwise, people will forget. Abner says we might cycle through counter-attacking systems more frequently, but we might overcome multiple cycles. Would be a simple system with the elite resilience and squad like a toolbox. You're going to go through some other stuff. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why it worked so effectively for Solskjaer, was that he got us defensively quite stable, and then there was a bit of freedom and quick forward play when we got the ball. But, you know, if there was a desire to try and hold more possession, maybe he wasn't the guy for that at the time. And maybe the team wasn't the team for that at the time. Driller says 3 Diamond 3, not seen that in practice. How do you create width without exposing yourself to counters? You use you play a forward 3 like you would in a 4-3-3. So you would have 2 wingers and a 9. Anton says, thanks for the great content. Channel's one of the few non-toxic on the web. We have a serious problem with the fan base. Good results take time. There can be some frustrations, for sure. And I get frustrated like everyone else does as well. I'm not fucking immune to it. Dex says, with the money in football now, it should be way better than what it was. But that's the problem. The money creates desperation, and there's a lack of patience. I think there's a lack of patience in society, full stop, to be honest. And again, I ain't immune to that. But I just think that's the case. Kirk says, players from the 18s and 21s seem to love the club. Jack Fletcher, Ibrahimov, Musa, Scanlon, Lacey, Obi Martin, Kokonki, Ennis. It'd be nice to see them get some pitch time. Totally agree. There's some players there. This reminds me of when Rashford broke through. There was a great crop there. Fosu Mensah, Tuan Zabi, Angel Gomez. There were some sensational footballers in there, and it's not possible, sadly, that they can all make it at the same time, but there's absolutely some players in that little list you've just wrote there that can and should make it at the club, I believe. Stephen says, Fergie's fledglings were fed into a team finishing 13th, class of 92, were fed into the reigning champions. We need a solid base to rebuild on. Yeah, you got to remember, the class of 92 lads were obviously world class, right? Phil Neville aside. I actually think Nicky Butt was world class, to be honest with you. He was just unfortunate that he was behind Roy Keane. Because there was a time and a place Nicky Butt was absolutely fucking brilliant. Those lads became world class, but they were added to a team where Mark Hughes, Paul Ince, Brian Robson was still around even though he wasn't featuring, and had a big part in shaping those lads. Cantona, Dennis Irwin, Peter Schmeichel, the likes of Kanchelskis, Pallister and Bruce. There were some fucking very good, very intelligent winners and footballers in that team who protected them young lads as they come through and led them on the right path. And those lads obviously had the right ingredients to go on and become what they became. But they were also helped by what was in front of them. And then the likes of Kanchelskis, Ince and Hughes, they made way for For Beckham, Scholes, but Giggs to a greater lesser degree, to start getting regular first team minutes, and it was required. And Fergie made a hell of a ballsy call. I mean, those of a certain vintage will remember the absolute shit show that there was when you sell, Kanchelskis, Hughes, and Ince in one summer, and I think we signed Tony Coton, City's backup goalkeeper. Fucking hell! Can you imagine if social media existed now with that? Oh, and by the way, that wasn't a year that we won the league. We fucking lost because Andy Cole couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo in the last game against West Ham. And then that's what you do in the summer. Right, get to summer. We'll sort it out. We'll win the league next year. Oh, by the way, Cantona's banned for kicking racism out of football at Selhurst Park nearly 12 months ago. So Cantona's banned. We haven't got Cantona at the moment. Let's sell. So no Cantona. Let's sell Mark Hughes. That doesn't seem sensible. Andre Kanchelskis. That doesn't seem sensible. And Paul Ince. This does not seem sensible. What are we fucking doing? And what does Fergie do? Well, he doesn't start the season very well, that's for sure. We get pumped by Aston Villa. Alan Hansen utters some of the fucking greatest words that anyone's ever fucking wibbled on Match of the Day. And there's a low bar. Or high bar. And we go on and win the fucking double. Was that the year we lost to Volgograd? Well, let's not talk about that. But we win the double. Cantona scores against Scouse in the 85th minute. FA Cup final. My favourite kit. Oh, remember when we were good? Fucking hell. Salty Pretzel says, Steve, are there any quick fixes they can implement right now to see any improvements, or are we fucked for months to come? Yeah. The fucking window opens next Tuesday. Something like that. Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday, isn't it? Buy somebody and play them. That's the quick fix. That's the only quick fix. I think it's the only quick fix. Got to be. Apna says, by the way, I definitely agree with your recent Rashford video. All the players' wages not worth their performances will be on sale soon. Maybe that can help us bring in some useful depth. I think it's got to be. I can't look at the way that the penny pinching has happened under Ineos and think it's going to go any other way. I asked for some questions on the old Instagram. Should we get into them? Let's see what people are asking over there. I did see that there was a couple of weird ones. Let's see what people are saying. We got any more there? What's the best United can hope for this season, says Andy Coleman. It's an unfortunate name for a United fan, isn't it? I think we're going to struggle. Here's the thing, right? We've been so shit, but we're still not that far off in terms of points. The only problem is I can't see us putting a run together where we can actually say hand on heart, well, we'll get into this top four because look, blah, 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 blah. You're going to have to go on a run the way City did to win the title last year, which I think is like, what did they win, like 18 or 20 games or something on the spin? And on, like, you can say those words with your mouth. Oh, United we'll just go and win 18 or 20 games on the spin. Okay, cool. It's a little bit like drunk, but whatever. The best Colombian player I've ever seen, Shakira. Favorite rum, Diplomatico. That one up there. Salford's very good though. Salford's very, very, very high up on the list. Why is being a United fan so hard? It's not that hard. It's just shite right now, isn't it? How bad can things get? Pretty fucking bad. What's the one place I want to go to that I haven't had the chance? Argentina. What app am I using to track the weight loss? I use the Connect app, which comes with the scale. So I have a Garmin scale. This is the Garmin S2 scale. So you just stand on it every morning, and then it just logs all your shit for you. It knows your body fat percentage, what muscle poundages, all that sort of stuff is good. And I use one called Bevel as well, which predicts what's going to happen. Predict a year we win the league. 2029. Saab official says, genuine question, do we win the league again in the next 10 years? Yes. Do I like apples? How about them apples? I like apples. Best boots for hiking. Depends. I've got a few in rotation. Solomon's, the AKUs. I've got the Adidas Terex ones, and I'm currently sort of test driving some Hoka Carhartt Frosts, especially when it's cold. Worst United squad ever? Might be. I think when you look at the forward line, when you look at the forward line that you've got in previous years, I mean, look at, from Zlatan, Lukaku, even Alexis Sanchez. Is he as bad as any of the fucking players that we got playing for? Like, Alexis Sanchez was a flop for Manchester United, and no one's going to convince me otherwise. But was he better than Garnacho who's currently playing? Any more word on the weight loss video? We haven't filmed it yet. How's Diesel getting on? He's all right. He's just down here snoozing. He's very tired on his walks at the moment, though. You take him on a longish walk and he's absolutely fucked for days. Favourite day in the gym? Monday. I do legs. And the whole world does chest or biceps on a Monday, don't they? So I do legs. And I like just doing that because other people aren't. Let's get into these. Kirk says, what realistic players do I think will actually get signed? I've seen talk about Nico Williams, where his work rate seems on par with Rashford. No, it's not. He's definitely a hard worker. I don't think he's a realistic signing, though. I'd love him. I think he's a fucking... He'd be one that'd be right up on my list. I just don't think he's realistic. Steven says a few. I don't know what I was in relation to. What was I in relation to? Awake says, Russia makes 300k if we're in the Champions League and he scores double digits. The reported wages of United are higher because the Glazers use it. UEFA reported KDB and Haaland are on close to 800. But who's the headline? It's true, yeah. I mean, I saw that a few times with Haaland. And also, you got to remember, Manchester City are currently accused of, like, paying people through all sorts of fucking mad means as well. So whatever City are reporting might not be the truth. And that's the top and bottom of it. And people go, oh, fucking so great. No, that's literally what they've been charged with, is, like, under-reporting stuff and hiding money. So you can't really... Like, people are talking about what United have spent, what City have spent. And the bottom line is, United have spent everything that we've earned, and then like $1.5 billion on top just for the privilege of having them twats owning us. You can't compare us. So, someone basically came in and turned Wigan Athletic into a European superpower. And it could have happened to them. It could have happened... Someone could have done it to fucking Sunderland. Yeah? They're not special. They're some fucking rich dickhead's plaything. Is it right that nation states own football clubs? It starts getting murky as fuck and weird and political and that. It's absolutely bananas that that's been allowed to happen. Jed says, seems mad, but I'd be up for a year in the champ. My uncle is a couple of years younger than my dad. He absolutely loved it. He wasn't roofed in right and loved the fighting, to be honest with you, but he was all about those away days, and he will really fucking reminisce about being in the fucking in Division 2 as it would have been in the 70s and just being an absolute fucking wrong'un. You gotta love that, haven't you? Apna says, he's replying to Jed. Sai says, no major titles with Bruno and Rashford. They are not big players to lead us to win titles, and I'm not all about our sweeper keeper. Onana is not it. Steven says there's millipedes with less footwear than Howson. Oh, talking about I've got a few pairs. Yeah, I mean, all right, yeah, I have got. I like my boots. I like my boots. I've just got bang into some Dana boots as well. I might have like there's a couple I've got in rotation, and I might have treated myself to a couple as a Christmas present to myself. Gab says, "Welcome to the." He didn't say that. Welcome to the membership. Deck says, "Do I think the way American sports use NFL, like NFL use schools and universities for recruitment, is better than academies? I think the way US do recruitment, there's a lot more room for exposure." So they don't use them for recruitment. The whole system is different, and it's hilariously communist for a country that hates communism and socialism. The major expense for football clubs outside of wages is transfer fees. European football, that is. Whereas American football, they don't really have any sort of fees. You're a free agent and you move around and you get paid a very, very nice salary. But your players either come as walk-ons or free agents, or you get drafted. So do I think it's better? No. And it's unworkable in Europe as well. It's unworkable in Europe because there isn't a system. Like, let's say you did a draft for Premier League. So there's only academy players that are raised in the UK that would go into that. What happens when you spot like a young lad from South America? How does he get into that draft? What happens when you see, a young lad from Portugal, like what we did with Cristiano? How do you get him into the draft? Like, it doesn't really make sense. It only works in American football, basketball. I guess it kind of works for their MLS teams as well because it's culturally known over there. It works in the NFL and it works in basketball and I guess baseball as well, because that is the major nation that plays those sports. When it's football, European football, and you've got Manchester United producing players from 8 years of age, why would United now allow some kid that they've raised to go into a draft where he could now sign for Real Madrid? You would need FIFA or UEFA to sort of manage and oversee and legislate that system, and it wouldn't make sense. Now, I think there's some stuff in American sport that I do like. I like the emphasis on the sport. I like the professionalism of some of their sports. I just think it's kind of unworkable to replicate it on a large scale for European football because you've got these tried and tested methods coming through, and also for a hell of a lot of clubs it is a revenue generating scheme as well. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea have only managed to scrape through their FFP and PSR regulations because they sell academy products every year for tens of millions of pounds. You can't really do that and have any sort of a draft system going. But I think there's a lot of, in terms of exposure, it's very popular. But you got to remember as well, that American football and that, there's like fucking 8 games a season for most teams. It isn't the slog, home games at least, it isn't the slog that football is. It's just, it's culturally, it's entirely different, and I'm not sure you can even compare them correctly, I think. Coach Zach says, I'd argue our best lineup has Ahmad right wing back and Mazraoui right centre back. We haven't looked as good since those two moved out of those positions. I agree with that. Awake with a super chat says, remember a clip of Avram Glazer speaking to his NFL team about how they brought Ronaldo to United when he was 20? Can't even lie well the rat. I mean, yeah, because he literally came 2 years before the fucking Glazers owned us when he was 18 as well. Sausage. Yeah. I like a lot about, I love the facilities in American sports. I'd love to be able to replicate the facilities over in Britain, actually. And there's an emphasis on getting quality coaching and quality facilities into the grassroots stuff that there doesn't seem to be in Britain. I don't know. That's probably more of a societal fucking drama, I think. We've got any more questions here on the Insta? Does it get worse before it gets better? Fucking maybe. How can we be so shit? Surely our players aren't that bad. No, they are. I spent all fucking summer telling us how bad our forward line is. People don't want to know. Have I watched the Fergie doc on Amazon yet? No. I've got 9 unread messages here from my mate Tom, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be about the Fergie doc because he did say he was going to go stick it on. Should we read them? See what he says. Oh no, he's messaged me about ChatGPT being down. Oh fucking hell. It's unreal. Fergie doc. Yeah, do you know what? I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing in the gym tomorrow. It is deadlift day. I don't know what I'm doing cardio wise. I feel like the missus wants to take the dog on a walk, so I might pie off the cardio, do the weights, and then go take the dog for a walk. So in my head, I'm thinking I'll watch the Fergie doc tomorrow. I'll watch it at some point. Did I catch any of the games on Netflix yesterday? I did not. Mahomes is an alien, I'm sure. A mix between Europe and US is ideal with sports, things to learn. Yeah, look, I think you can learn a lot from a lot. Weirdly, my mate Tom messaging us earlier about Brentford are looking, he likes his data, and Brentford are trying to hire a data scientist, but not a performance data scientist, a gym-based strength and conditioning data scientist. Now, I think if you went to American football and maybe even some colleges, you will find plenty of data scientists that are working in gyms doing bits with strength and conditioning. I think football strength and conditioning is fucking so far behind. When you look at things like the UFC Performance Institute is probably about 10 years old, something like that. How the UFC are doing things like that for their athletes, that I don't think you're getting the same in football. I just don't. You don't. And I think footballers could be doing more. I think they could be... It's different to fight camps and stuff with MMA fighters. MMA fighters, all the professional MMA fighters that I know are doing 7 to 8 hours of training per day. Now, they don't have to perform once or twice a week, but they're still putting out consistently 7 or 8 hours every single day. Now, I know that there's going to be issues with doing that, with the travel and with the 2 games and requirements to perform every single week. But I feel like there's still room in the program for footballers to do more and better with their strength and conditioning than they currently are doing, in my opinion. And they could learn a lot from MMA in that sense. I think American football is a little bit different. They're almost like 9-month off season, so they can have genuine off seasons. You can't really have an off season in football. It don't really exist. I mean, look at United, for example, this year. We've got the season ends, then we're going to fuck off to Malaysia for a friendly, then there's an England game like a week after that. Like, when's the off season? A week off. A week off isn't an off season. It's not. They need 3 or 4 weeks to mentally downshift. And then you've got to have to really thrash them to get them back up to the fitness. But you can't really do that because you're going to get 10 days, 2 weeks max, and then you've got to go to the Far East or to America on some money-making schemes. I would absolutely go to war for Ineos if they went, do you know what? The football comes first. We're not doing Malaysia for 2 million quid. We get that 2 million quid by being better in the fucking Champions League next year. We're not doing that, and we're not doing the tour to America either. Like, sorry, our fans in America, you'll have to fucking suck it up. But given the choice of finishing 5th or 1st or 2nd, and we think we can do that if we don't do an American tour, do you think all the fans that I'm now missing out on a fucking bullshit preseason friendly where it's half the kids are going to play anyway, would rather see us be successful or get to watch us at $400 fucking a ticket when it's half the kids? You know the fucking answer, right? They would rather see the club be successful, I presume. How good would it be if Ineos went, yeah, do you know what? We've done the maths, and the players are getting a proper fuck all 3-4 week off, and then they're coming back and they're going to live at Carrington, and we're going to do some absolute science with them, and we're going to make them top as fuck. And we're not going on pre-season tour. We're going to do 3 friendlies at Old Trafford the last 2 weeks of pre-season. So if you want to come and watch us, you can come and watch us play in those games. But we're going to live at Carrington. The players are going to eat everything that we fucking give them. They're going to sleep when we tell them to fucking sleep and all that sort of shit. And we're going to focus on football, and we're going to focus on results, and we're going to do this first. If the club came out and did that, I'd be like, oh, mate, we're fucking back. We are so back. But that's the disconnect for me. We're going chasing some money in Malaysia at the end of the season ahead of player welfare. We're going to go and do a money spinning pre-season tour somewhere because we need to do that. And that for me is where it goes wrong. ZoomX says, our stadiums here in America for high school are almost full-size college stadiums. Yeah. I mean, I'm very impressed. I did go to a game at UCLA on my honeymoon. And in the summer just gone, I've decided to start following Oklahoma Sooners, probably because it's got one of the best stadiums. And it's just a place that I've never been to before. I didn't want to select a team of a place that I'd been before. I've never been to Oklahoma. So I chose to support Oklahoma just because it's a place I wouldn't mind visiting one day. And then they shit the bed this year. So I don't know if that's my fault or what. Gab says it would be great if we signed some proven players in the league. Cunha and Buemo, Kirks, Gibbs, White could all raise the level at United immediately instead of giving a season to settle in. That was something that Sir Alex was fantastic at doing. Abner says Brighton is definitely doing some automobile level telemetry on those gym equipment. Fucking nice wording. Coach Zach says, I'm planning to take a trip to England in the next 2 or 3 years. Is there a possibility of me coming and watch one of your training sessions? Yeah, sure. Steve Harris says, our running stats are consistently poor. Managers flag this up. Everyone ignores it. Yeah, and here's the other thing, right? I know when Ollie came in, he went, I'm going to make you the fastest, most aggressive team in the league. In Europe, actually. Didn't happen. Now, was that because Ollie changed his mind? Yeah? Or, like when Ralph Rangnick came here and he was like, what's Ralph Rangnick football? We all know what Ralph Rangnick football is. He couldn't make Ralph Rangnick football happen here. Right. So even Erik Ten Hag, his team played intense fucking high gear football. Now we've got Amrim. The fundamental fucking issue with these players. Fucked it. Stephen Harris says Juventus do it. Yeah, it's one of the things I love about Juventus. Kirk says I watched Rio Presents earlier with Owen and Jodie. Was hoping I was on, but unfortunately not. Yeah, I'm not sure when I'm back on. ZoomX says literally just described college football 2-a-days where we live on campus. Last 2 weeks were scrimmages. Also graduated from OU, so boomer sooner. Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, if I ever manage to fucking pull off the impossible and get out of this bastard league that Paddock are in, and we ever get to the point where I could make the team full time, because it actually happens in like the middle of non-league, like Macclesfield, a handful of leagues above us and a full time. I would select players that were able and capable of doing 6 or 7 hours in the gym. The partial reasons for me doing that would be for me to see what the impact is, because obviously I'm no scientist, but I have theories and thoughts and things that I would like to experiment with and try, and I would love to see what the impact of being genuine, like MMA level of fitness would be, and would we take it too far, and would we need to do more work technical, more tactical work? Would I get the balance wrong? Probably, right? But I would love that. Gab says, bang on about pre-season money tours, we always start seasons slow due to all the unnecessary travel, and players look like they start the season lacking match fitness. I mean, the one the other year, well, we started off in New York and ended up in San Diego. We made content, right? And went on the piss. And I came back fucked. We was fucked for 5 or 6 weeks. Like, imagine not having to do that. And then you see some of the more middling, less glamorous clubs, they don't go anywhere. They play a fucking couple of games at their home stadium and they start the season and shock people. And you're like, oh, I wonder what happened there. Oh, I know what happened there. Generally, what happens is United have got whatever percentage of our players are international duty. They're all coming back at different times, and then they go do fucking whatever. Super chat here from 7-inch says, what phase is slotting? Amorim is not it. What phase is slotting? Slots in a team that was wanked off within an inch of its life. Supposedly the best right back the world has ever seen. So, like, I'm seeing Premier League all-time 11s that have got 5 Liverpool players in it. Genuinely, I'm seeing it. Don't agree with it, obviously. There's not a single fucking Liverpool player gets into a Premier League all-time 11. And the closest one to getting in is Mo Salah, right? But you don't get in ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo on that right wing spot. What phase is he in? He's in phase, I had a better team. That's what phase he's in. It's like Pellegrini won a fucking title with City. So is he like, what, the 3rd or 4th greatest manager this league's ever seen? No, because we saw what he could do with West Ham. The team was better. The team was in a better phase. The team had a better settled 11 going on. And he's come in and he's not really changed a hell of a lot, has he? It's one of them. Steven says, only just realised Wolves got a second goal, turned it off and put the Lioness on. Lioness is good if you've not seen it. I don't know if I'd put it on over a match, but it's one of them, innit? Apner says, but why is the running issue also affecting new transfers? Is the status of training infrastructure something to do with it? I don't know the answer to that. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that one. Deck says, I do think the IQ of this team is at an all-time low. I think there's some decent lads in this squad. We're getting more. I think Mazraoui's been a great addition. I think Ahmad's got a fantastic attitude and a great IQ and a great work rate. I think he's fantastic. I like De Ligt. I like Mazraoui. I like Martinez. You know, I think there's players in there with good attitude. I think Ugarte is a great signing. You know, and I think he's one that's, you know, really playing well under this gaffer. Yeah, I think there's a lot to like. It's just not enough. You need to cut the mistakes out to win games. 7-inch says, fair enough, I don't enjoy his system, weird lineups. The thing is, though, the way the shape that we take with the ball in the opposition half is no different to Erik ten Hag's 3-2-5. Most of the fucking league are playing the same thing when they get the ball. Deck says we need more Ugartes. David Graham says, hi from Canberra. How about I got up at 4:30 to watch that? Fucking Christ. Josh says, need a good January window or Ineos fail Amorim. I totally agree with that. Like, literally, by lunchtime on the 1st of January, United want to be starting announcing signings, don't they? Genuinely. Apple says, Slotter's done nothing. He's been fortunate with injuries and just made a few tweaks, like dropping the high line to a bit cautious and using a season where many top 6 have been chaotic. Yeah, I totally agree. He might be decent. He might be dog shit. I think judging him now with the team being the way it is, I don't think you're going to really see. Anton says, Liverpool will drop a lot of points and they will need to gather a whole new team next season, maybe next 3 games, and then the 10 days after that will be very critical. I hope we stay calm. Constantine with a super chat says, I've been sick for weeks and now United's performances are making it worse. How do these players sleep at night? Probably quite well in their fucking silk sheets, our kid. I would imagine. Anyways, cheers for joining us. 5 things and player ratings will be out tomorrow, as always. And then it's a pretty quick turnaround ahead of Newcastle on Monday night. I'm looking forward to the Newcastle game for a different reason. Not for the fucking football, for starters. But one of my mates that I was in basic training with is joining me for the game. So very excited to see him. Not seen him in many, many years. So I can't wait for that. Otherwise, cheers everyone for joining us. Welcome to all of the new members. Hit subscribe if you're new. And I'll catch you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.